Welcome back, everybody, to another Voice in the Void episode. Today I have Mr. Matt with me. Um, you can go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us whatever you want to share, and we can get started.
My name is Matt Melvin. I wrote a book called Bullied Behind Bars. A gay Christian Trump supporter goes to prison. I wrote it the second time I was in prison, 10 institutions, 4 states, 16 months, a month and a halfway house.
Okay. So if you don't mind me asking, why'd you end up behind bars?
The first time or the second time?
Uh, I guess we'll just roll with the most recent.
I couldn't pass a background check. I used other people's information to work. I did the work. In
Okay.
2009, the government pursued me for 6 years and got a grand jury indictment against me in 2016. They spent about $500,000, 10 different grand juries.
Okay. Um, so what so I guess I'm confused a little bit. So you got locked up because of why exactly?
I used other people's information to
Okay.
work. I
Okay.
did the
Gotcha.
work.
You did the work and just didn't necessarily get the credit, I guess, in a sense.
I
Oh, you
used
did.
other people's driver's license and social security cards to work.
Okay. Gotcha. Um, so it was that basically just because um you couldn't get a good paying job, you couldn't get whatever it was like life figured out at that time, and you decided why not?
I couldn't pass a background check.
Okay. And that's based off the first arrest?
Correct.
Okay. If you don't mind me asking, what was the first?
I worked at a car dealership, Freedom Nissan in South Burlington, Vermont. They didn't pay me my commissions, and I impulsively chose to try to sell one of their cars. Got caught. Instead of going through the mental health court, Jeffrey Crawford and Bob Wilford both decided I didn't meet the criteria, and I was forced to go through the traditional court.
Okay. All right. So I'm assuming they kind of caught you like a theft, like a grand theft. Okay. And um so another with the book, what made you decide to write the book? Was it specifically because something that happened when you were locked up, or um was it when you got out you find like you, so to speak, found a little bit of type of closure to be able to actually share what happened?
Because I wanted to share my story. It was uncovering of all the masks I was wearing. I was one person at work, one person at home. I didn't really know who I was. I was appeasing the world. And now I am very confident in who I am, and I don't have to feel ashamed, and I don't worry about what other people think of me because that's none of my business. And so if you or one of your viewers is feeling like they don't know who they are,
Mm-hmm.
I want to encourage them to be confident in who they are,
Yep.
not try to get validation from outside sources because you'll always be disappointed. If I look for validation from a human being, I will always be disappointed. That's why it's so important to have a relationship with God. And when I was in prison the second time, I called it Bible boot camp, where I was immersing myself in the Bible, going to every single Bible study that was available, praying, fasting, exercising, making my bed. All of those strong disciplines have helped me to become the strong Christian man I am today. And if
Okay.
you look at the people in the Bible, Paul spent a lot of time in prison. You can't be a strong disciple for God unless you've gone through the fire and come out the other side. And there's always two ways of looking at things. You can always look at things as half full or the glass is half empty. It's all based on the perspective. But in my experience, Brandon, the more negative the person is, the more negative things that happen to them. The more
You're
positive you are, the more positive things that happen to you. I look at people in
that's
my
fair.
life that are very negative and they are constantly find themselves in circumstances that I believe could be avoided.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of like there's a thing that was I think Bruce Lee had actually said where if if you speak, or I don't know if it was Bruce Lee, but if you speak negative, then your consciousness will actually believe what you're saying. So you speak positive, your consciousness will believe that, and it will actually build a comfortability with whatever is happening. Like if you're gonna stay negative, it is my real beard. If you're gonna stay negative, then um your life's not gonna change. Definitely not for the good. So it helps to be able to have a clear mindset and be accepting. I believe in good karma. I believe in bad karma. If I do something good, it might not be good karma that comes to me right away, but eventually it'll be there for me. Eventually it'll come to me when I need it. Now I'm not a God fearing man. I'm not I don't have a religion I follow. Not by any means. I grew up in a Christian household. I grew up with a Christian family, but it's something that I had stepped away from quite a long time ago. And I've been able to open myself more to conversations with people based off of, um, well, just always willing to listen and talk with anybody about anything. Where almost every person that I knew, at least once upon a time, um, they were the pushers. You know what I mean? Like if you didn't believe in God, then you weren't living the right way or whatever it might be. And that's not how it should. That's not even how they push it in the religion itself. It's just the people, they overdo it, and in my case, it kind of pushed me away when I had a family member that was everything you did. You had to pray and do this and do that. And I was like, okay, you starting to lose me. So at the age of 14, which is 17 years ago now, I lost my faith. I let it be. I believe in a higher power. I just don't necessarily follow the religion of a god or multiple gods or whatever it might be. Um, let me see. Okay, so being a gay Christian and a Trump supporter, how do I know a lot of people aren't necessarily fans of two of those. They're more open nowadays. Like being, well, first off, being gay, people are more accepting nowadays. But how's in your viewing when you came out being gay? How did your Christian community actually take it? Do you go to
It's
church and everything, or
I don't go to a physical building, and that brings me to my amazing point. You do not need to go to a physical building to worship God, just like you don't need to go to a gym to exercise. I lost 100 pounds, Brandon. I have never once set foot in a gym. If you have a desire to do something, and
Hmm.
you will get it done.
Right. Fair enough.
My experience is that you meet a lot of fake people at churches who come across one way, but
Hmm.
are a completely different person outside. And they're hypocrites.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not only one religion base either. That's all in all. It doesn't matter where you go. Unfortunately, churches all over the world are full of all type of hypocrites. It it's crazy to see, or but because you would think at least when you go to church, you would expect to see, or at least think that there'd be a difference. Because there's hypocrites all over the world. It's not only in churches. But you would think going to church or being in a religion based, you're not gonna judge someone based off what you do behind closed doors. They're just doing it openly. And that's just how it is. Like it just kind of drives me crazy with that sense because I know a lot of hypocrites, that's for sure. Um so what what made you uh stick with your faith through everything you've gone through? What helped you stick with your faith?
Without my faith, I would be lost. God is my rock, my anchor, something I pursue and put as primary in everything that I do. In my experience, anybody who's in a relationship or married,
Hmm.
they always put their significant other first. And the Bible's very clear that God needs to be primary. And for me, because I'm a single man, it's very easy to put God as primary.
Right, right. No,
And
I
it's all
get that.
about sacrifice, Brandon. It's all about sacrifice. And I look at it this way: when I get my car aligned, I have to get my car aligned completely with the manufacturer. It's not a negotiation. It's not, let's do 70% and a couple of weeks I'll do the other 30. And that's how a lot of people are. It's they want to have a relationship with God, but then they still want a piece of the flesh that makes them feel good. And it doesn't work that way. And that's why a lot of people struggle with completely surrendering to God
Hmm.
because they want to negotiate, or they want to only come to God with a grocery list of what they want. And that's not the
Yeah.
way. And then when they don't get answers to those prayers, they wonder why. God doesn't, it's prayer is not meant to be a grocery list or a wish list for Santa,
Right, right.
nor is
Yeah,
it a
no.
negotiation. It's not a, if you do this, then I will do that. I would encourage anybody, if you live a life of if then, that is a very slippery slope. Anybody who does if then statements with me, I want no part of. It's not, that's not the way a friendship, any relationship should work,
Hmm.
because one is wielding power over another. That's all an
Right.
if then statement is, wielding power over another. And that's why it's so important. If you are in sin, get out of it. Because what happens is, if you're in sin, then somebody else can wield power. And that's how, things can go from bad to worse.
Fair enough. I personally believe that Well, it's along the lines of what I said already with the negative and positive. But even if you live in a negative life, like it could potentially work for that person. Like they could be comfortable with that. But you keep adding negatives, eventually you're gonna get an explosion. Something bad's gonna happen. But
What
it
I would
takes,
say, Brandon, is that if you're negative, you want to surround yourself with negative people.
yeah.
And I find, even as a positive person, when I bring in negative people into my life, then they turn everybody else negative. I don't want to have relationships with people that complain all the time. I
Mm,
can understand it once, but then you got to move on and figure out what side of the what, look, I believe in most interactions with two people, there's always fault on either side.
mm,
And if the other person can't see their fault in in the in a disagreement, then I don't want any part of it. Because
right.
there's unless my car is parked in the parking lot and somebody smashes it while I'm sleeping, that's a very rare occurrence where it's 100% somebody else's fault and 0% mine. But in
Right.
most instances, when it comes to a conversation, when there is a disagreement, there's always fault on either side.
Hmm.
And the key is to be able to keep I'm sorry, how can I rectify the situation?
Hmm.
You're really important in my life. What can I do to resolve this?
Right.
And that's how friendships progress or regress.
Well, what's actually funny is one of my best friends is the way we, I guess, became to like each other is when we were in school, we had, we didn't know it. Well, we kind of knew, but we had a guy that he was telling me that he was talking a lot of trash and telling him I was talking a lot of trash. And we confronted each other and we were about to get in a fight. And then that same guy, he made a statement aloud where he just wanted to see someone fight. He just wanted to see something because there was nothing going on at the school, and frankly, the school I went to, there it seemed like there was fights every other week that year, or every week, I should say, almost every few days. But um, we become good friends because first off, neither of us took any of the BS. Neither of us was allowing each other push down. So it was weird where it was like two negatives came together, made a positive, and he's the godfather of my kids. Like I moved a day away from everything I've known, uh, but still keep in touch. My kids still call him. I still reach out to him. We talk once in a while. Like it's still a full contact. You have to be open to positive change. Otherwise, nothing's ever gonna. Um, Let me see. So with this says that uh confronting the bullying. So how did you handle the bullying while you were in prison? Like,
I handled it by removing myself from the situation and journaling.
okay. Um, so if you don't mind, what is one of the main things that people bullied you for? Was it because of like being gay or just something you went in
Being
for?
gay, being overweight. I was overweight for a lot of my life.
Okay.
And like I mentioned earlier, I lost 100 pounds all on my own and never once set foot in a gym. A lot of men struggle with lust. If you struggle with lust, do not put yourself in a precarious situation. Gyms, beaches, because that will not, things won't go well. Your partner will become jealous. And look, lust doesn't just happen, it comes in the mind first. So think about putting where you plant yourself. Look, if you're an alcoholic, going to a liquor store is not a good idea, or a bar.
Yeah.
For
Or
me,
going around
working
a
at a
group
car
of people
dealership
like
is
drinking.
not a good idea. For me,
Yeah,
not working at a car dealership is a good idea.
it's fair. Well,
And we all struggle with something.
yep,
The key is to be able to identify what that struggle is and to identify the pain points.
yeah, and to learn from it.
Yes.
And it seems like you learned from it. I mean, for the most part, I'm assuming your life is going really well.
That's a precarious situation. It's every day is a struggle.
Okay.
I find that when I get in a negative headspace, I open up my Bible.
Mhm.
All of the answers for me are right in there. Everything I need, all the answers to everything that I have are in that Bible.
Right. Well,
And
let me
I
rephrase.
think it's
Going better
really,
now than it used to be.
oh, absolutely, because I don't care about appeasing other people. I don't look for outside validation.
Okay. Yeah. The only validation I feel is the only validation a person really needs is what they feel about themselves or what they're doing. And it's just like the whole uh you can't truly love someone unless you can love yourself. And it's a very real thing. I know a lot of people that have gone through a lot of different things, myself being one of them. And I've overcome so much of these objects in my life to where I've I've finally started opening myself up more. And uh which I used to be a very outgoing person. I still am. I just I'm getting back to it. For a long time I stayed to myself because I was trying to hide whatever BS I might have been going through at the time. So at the time or something went through when I was younger. But I've made that exception to let that go finally because I hold grudges. I do, unfortunately, but I do. I'm very bad about that. If you do me wrong, I will hold a grudge to you forever. I did it to my dad for like a year and a half. I didn't see him for a year and a half, and I was still living at home with my mom at 16 when I did this because I didn't like something he did. I didn't agree with it. I told him that he wouldn't stop. So I didn't see him for a year and a half. Then I was like, it's been a year and a half. I'll go see him now. Because whenever he came to the house, I wouldn't even leave my room. Or I'd make sure I was gone. Um, but I've gotten better with the whole grudge thing for the most part. I have. I let a lot of things go now. There's no reason for me to struggle on it or keep it bottled up like I used to. But you gotta be open to the change and accept that first off, people are different. Everyone has a different opinion. You you do or say what you want. Doesn't mean I'm gonna follow what you're saying. Doesn't mean I'm gonna agree with what you're saying. But I'm willing to sit here, talk to you. I could talk to anybody. And I'm sure one of these days you might even say something I don't agree with, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna be, so to speak, a dick to you. There's no reason to, because I'm open for any conversation. I've always been that way. I used to not like certain things, and I would just kind of, that I'd push that away. So I wouldn't acknowledge it. I wouldn't show any type of support for whatever you're saying. But the past 8 years, I've gotten to the point where I can fully just sit there and speak with you about whatever it might be. Like, if you had an issue with something in politics, I'm sure I could spiel on for a long time about it. Same, I'm a bit of a conspiracy guy, so I'm all about listening or hearing that stuff as well. Um, Sorry, my mustache is tickling my nose. Um, but it's just being, I guess, more open, not wanting to have that stress stuck in my life like it used to be. Um, so I see here it also says something about confronting the isolation and public judgment. So was isolation based off the prison or just in life itself? You stayed pulled away.
The bullying did a lot to my feeling worthy, and I didn't, for a lot, most of my life I didn't love myself, and until I started loving myself, I couldn't love another person. The other thing I think that's really important, and I think a lot of people struggle with this, is they'll dump a lot of information, like stuff, onto somebody, and
Hmm.
that person can't handle it. So guess what happens? That person gossips about them because they can't hold space. I want to encourage everybody, before you dump a whole bunch of information or anxiety on somebody else, ask
Hmm.
them if they're able to hold space.
Okay. Like making sure that they're actually open for whatever conversations to come, basically,
They
in a
have the
sense.
capacity, because
Yeah.
if somebody has fear, anxiety, those are all if you look at, if you picture a bunch of sandbags, right? They got
Hmm.
anxiety, maybe they're in addiction. All of those sandbags are weighing them down. Do you
Yeah.
really think that your problems are going to help them or hinder them? They're going to hinder them.
Hmm.
And if somebody is hindered, they tend to gossip.
Right.
And that's why it's really important to find friends that have capacity to hold space for you.
Yeah.
And, making that agreement that what is said between you stays between you.
Hmm. Yeah. I've had a lot of those questions. I've had a lot of those conversations with friends, just making sure nothing got shared that definitely should not get shared.
And I'm sure it has, right?
There's been a couple people that have shared some things I've told them that I didn't want shared, but I mean, there's also been others that, like I have a couple friends that actually have everything I've ever said to them, and as far as I know, I've never heard it be more or less recited back to me in any type of the way. So I have a couple friends that I know haven't spoke on certain things, which there's some things I've told people just to see if they could keep their mouth shut. And it was the things that not as bad, but it's to see if they could not talk about whatever I was saying. So it's not like I was telling them my deepest, darkest secret and hoping they wouldn't tell somebody based off what they told me. No, but also I'm not gonna go just because they told whatever I was talking about. I'm not gonna go and speak on what they told me. like I might hold a grudge, but I don't hold a, so to speak, blabbermouth type. And but unfortunately, there's a lot of um people that share everything, even if it has nothing to do with them. Um, you know, unfortunately, that happens a lot, but it happens. Unfortunately, that's just how. I have a motto that I go by, and it's called "fuck it." Just because you never know what you're gonna hear, you never know who you're gonna come across, you never know what people are gonna say or do on their own. You just can't let it affect you. So fuck it. That's where it comes in for me. Um. So um. So when you say hang on. When you say that uh it was an emotional toll at the intersection. So is that speaking on how you were treated when you were locked up as well? Basically,
Yes.
like, so it sounds like that had a lot of like traumatizing things that had happened to you based off maybe physical or verbally in its own. Uh,
Correct.
so if you don't mind, what state are you in?
I'm in Vermont.
You're in Vermont. Okay, and that's where everything happened as well, was in prison around Vermont
No,
area.
I was in 10 institutions in 4 states. I was in Vermont, New York, New Hampshire, Connecticut.
Okay, so you got transferred around a couple times. Was that basically off your safety? Like they were transferring you, or was it
That was a
just
big
off your?
piece of it.
Okay, okay. Um, so when was the first time you got transferred out of prison? I get the first time you got transferred out of prison. Like, what was the reason behind it? Was it were you getting like physically attacked, and they said, "Okay, it's time to move you"? Because I have a buddy that's locked up there in Michigan, and he's currently going through similar things. He's actually being transferred to another prison right now because he got brutally attacked. So they're moving him because he did get attacked to the point he actually couldn't fight back anymore because of all the injuries he actually sustained.
I'm not going to speculate on why a prison transfers another inmate. They don't give that information. That information is not given to the inmate. And
Okay.
I'm not going to go off on a tangent or down a rabbit's hole. Look, the way I live my life is unless I have facts
Hmm.
and data to back up what I'm going to say, I'm not going to go off on hearsay or conspiracy. And that's what I would encourage each one of you and your listeners is unless you have facts to back up something that you're going to say,
Hmm.
your opinion means nothing
Right.
without facts to back it up.
Hmm.
My opinion on the Bible means nothing unless I can point to where in the Bible it states that.
Okay.
It's very easy to use 20th century thought to a book that was written 6,000 years ago. You can't do that. We're only given a selective amount of information in the Bible. And it's
Hmm.
very easy to try to use my thought to try to connect things. And you can't do that.
Right. Right. No, that's fair. That's definitely a fair way to put it. I like that response. Um, so any chance, are you looking at potentially writing another book?
Oh, that's a good question. I have lots of ideas.
Okay. So what is, like, you don't have to give the full idea, but what would one be off of? Is it like the transformation? Is it, yeah.
One idea I have is to how to properly vet an employer.
Okay.
In my experience, I applied for a job that was run by a sex offender. And there was another one that, in researching the owner of the business, people had said he was a dictator. You won't last for 6 months. Uh, I want to encourage anybody who applies for a job, do your research on both the company and the people that you will be working for. Because look, that interview process is the best it's going to be. Just like
Yep.
when you go on a date with somebody, that's the best it's ever going to be. And I know people say, "Oh, it's better." Maybe it is, and I'm not going to speculate. I wasn't there. I don't know. But in my experience, when I date somebody, that date is the best I'm going to ever see of that person. It's all downhill from there. Because look, they're putting on their best performance, their best suit, their best tie to impress me. After that, it's all downhill.
That's fair. That's fair because it's true. Because the whole point of a first date is to have the best impression you can, but a lot of people don't follow up. They don't follow that same suit that they've already showed everybody or showed that one person. Um, so what is a what would you say the new theme of your life is? Like, obviously you're a Christian, you're a God-fearing man. So what what would you say the theme of your life is right now outside of your faith?
Living a God fearing life
Okay.
and serving other people. I think a lot of people, and I see this all the time, they will try to sell me whatever they're trying to sell, and I'm not interested. Look, you don't make friends by trying to sell everybody. You you look to serve that person first. And until you start serving the other person or looking out for their best interest instead of your own,
Mhm.
it's like when you're trying to drive on freezing rain. You just constantly, the front tires are going one way, the back tires are
Yeah.
going the other way. And
Yeah.
look, I did $4 million worth of Cutco 6. I've sold everything I can sell snow to an Eskimo. When I meet somebody,
Mhm.
my agenda isn't to try to get them to buy my book. I
Right.
mean, would I like them to buy my book? Absolutely. But if I come out and say, I want you to buy my book, it seems very pushy and very aggressive, and they're not going to do it.
Right. Fair enough. I mean, it doesn't hurt to, like, if you just having a conversation or whatever it might be, it doesn't hurt to bring up what you're trying, like what you have that you're wanting people to at least take a look at. Um,
I want people to look at me. I want people to investigate me. I want people to go and listen to my interviews.
mhm.
And
Well, that's what
if you
this is
go on
for,
my
to hopefully
website,
help.
if you go on my website and you listen to every single interview, I met some not so nice people, to put it mildly.
That's what's your website by any chance?
Bulliedbehindbars.com.
Okay, so it's actually that where that book is.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Because yeah, unfortunately that it happens uh where there's people, they don't take the they don't want to show the, I guess, the love and support, no matter what it is, and they live to put people down. um
I
there's
think it
that.
comes back to karma, Brandon, like you said earlier. If
Yeah.
somebody attacks another person, they're much more likely to find themselves in negative situations.
That's what's his name? I know this guy.
Greatness.
Greatness. There you go. All right, that's cool. I'm actually a fan of Greatness. He seems like a downhole, like a wholesome person. Let's see. I'm trying to help. Obviously, I'm gonna go click on the book part itself as well. But like, okay. Well, it seems like you've had quite a lot of uh recordings.
And that is by no means every single recording I've been on. I just wanted to give a sneak peek to some of the interviews I've been on.
So a if you had an interview you could go back to, what would you say was one of the best interviews that you've had?
I believe that the best interviews are when an interviewer comes prepared. The worst interviews are when an interviewer comes with an agenda and or they haven't properly done their research on me.
My screen lagged. I can't I can't select on the book. I gotta go back to it.
I think
I don't
any good interviewer should do their research on whoever they're going to bring on the show. And they shouldn't just want to bring somebody on for the sake of it.
Mhm.
There are some people that should not be doing this. And I tell everybody, anybody can start a podcast, just like anybody can start a church. There's no qualifications, there's no prerequisites. So just be very mindful about who you're talking to. And there are some people that I should have never come on their podcast, but as a general rule, I don't ever research who I'm going to interview. And that's good and bad. But I don't want to have any preconceived ideas. That's why I don't do it.
Right. And I have that, like, I there's only been a couple people I've actually looked into more, and that's because I was like, they told me the name, it sounded familiar, so I wanted to double check. But I also wanted to try to be prepared, but then I felt once I did that, it wasn't so wholesome or a natural conversation. So I I made that decision where I'm not gonna do that anymore. Uh because I wanna have, like, we've never met. I've never looked you up. I looked at your page for a brief time when uh you reached out to me and I had sent that link. But I looked at your page for a brief moment. I was like, why not? But I don't judge anyone that I go to interview. That's not what it, like. I'm here to help get you out there. I'm here to help get whatever you've experienced in life shared to others. I'm not here to judge you based off anything you've ever done. Now, if I found out there was like like a pedo thing, obviously I would never speak with that person. I would not have anything nice to say, so there'd be no reason for me to talk with them at.
I concur.
So, like, that's my one rule. is
That's my one rule in any friendship I have, that if I find out that you have any of this in your past, or
mm,
I want nothing to do with you.
right. Yeah, no, definitely. I,
You know, Brandon, one of my favorite questions to ask a potential friend is, have you ever had an affair? Why? Because if somebody's had an affair, they have no issue gossiping, talking about me behind my back.
mhm,
Because if you think about it, an affair is a complete betrayal of everything: friendship, the spouse, if they have kids, everybody in life you are lying to. And I've talked to people that have had affairs and they tell me it was a rush. Well, it's only a rush until you get caught. And then what?
oh, that's fair. Honestly, that's a very fair way to look at it because yeah, if they're willing to do something like that, they're willing to betray the one person that they've more or less sworn their life to. Then who knows what they're gonna do to you? Because at that point, not to come off rude by any means, but you're nothing compared to that person they
Absolutely.
swore their life to, and
That's
it.
why I tell people, Brandon, if you're in a toxic relationship, get out of it. It's only going to get worse. If somebody starts screaming at you, they will put their hands on you at some point. It will only escalate.
Mhm.
I was part of a men's group and I got yelled at because I told a man, look, I think you need to get a divorce. And it was a Christian group, and this man complained to the elders, and the elders came after me about why I would be giving advice that wasn't in the Bible, because I wanted that man to be happy, and he was miserable. And he was wearing masks, like I had mentioned earlier. He was
Mm,
pretending that it didn't bother him, but it did. He was miserable, and he
right.
surrounded himself with what I would call yes men, people that just agree with whatever you do. And I would encourage anybody to not surround themselves with people that will just approve of sin or
Everything.
right. You know, and if you're going through something, I want people in my life that say, Matt, why do you want to do that?
Mm,
Be able to ask that question and be able to hold me accountable for my actions, and not just people that will be yes men or people that won't
yeah.
confront me, because it takes a
I'd rather have somebody hurt my feelings than tell me the truth or tell me a lie. So
yes.
that's a big thing I have too. Like I tell people all the time, I'd rather have people that will hurt my feelings directly by telling me the truth than look me in my eyes to try to make me feel okay and lie. Like, because that's just like a stab in the back.
It is, it's
Because
a huge
if they're
betrayal.
lying to your face, if they're helping encourage this blatant lie that you might be living or they are telling you, they're willing to do anything they can to sabotage you. There's no reason to have that in your life. That's again, you got to go back to living with positive. Like I believe in energies, and it's like you walk in a room and you know when somebody is in the wrong. Like you can feel it in the air about whatever it is, I guess, with the people around you. Like you can almost look at them and know that's the person I don't want to be close to. I don't want to have anything to do with. Sure, you can be friends and talk with anybody, but is that what you really want to get yourself into? You have a bad feeling. It's like that knot in your stomach and you still do it anyway. It's obviously not a good thing you're supposed to be doing.
Look, Brandon, I get lied to every day. the key to my being prosperous is not allowing that negative situation to blow out and take over.
Fair enough.
Thank you
Fair
so
enough.
much for having me on the show.
Yeah, it's no problem. I'm actually I I enjoyed the conversation a lot. Um Hopefully I can have you back on. Hopefully the next time I have you on you have another book out.
That may or may not happen. It's a huge sacrifice, and
Yeah.
it takes a lot of time, and the ROI is not necessarily there.
Well, sometimes it's not about it. Sometimes it's just getting the story out there. You basically you shared your life with the first book. So I'm sure you'll get another one out there. It can be like a like redemption, redeeming yourself. So I'm sure you got it. But thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. Uh yeah, everybody go check out his book, Bully Behind Bars. Bullied Behind Bars by Matt Melvin. Or sorry, is it Matthew Melvin on the
It
with
is.
the
It's
book?
Matthew Melvin.
Matthew Melvin. All right. Go check that out. Go show some love, support, and yeah, thank you again.
Thank you. Have a great day.